Thinking back over the years, my husband Boris and I have made many investments. We have invested in his manufacturing company, and I'm talking about multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars and now millions to get his company to grow, to get the required equipment, machinery, resources, and tools, as well as building the team that he needed to grow his company. I have invested in my company as well, and I've had many businesses before. That includes advertising, that includes branding, that includes, tools and materials and a lot of online systems, as well as team and staff, and making the investment into myself, my clients, and the people that work for me and work with me to grow and to scale faster. So I'm no stranger to investing, of course, and I also know that it can be difficult from a mindset perspective. And when I talk to a lot of business owners and they tell me, you know what, I just don't have the money to invest, I just can't invest right now, they might be thinking that they don't have the resources and they can't access the money. But the truth most of the time is that we just don't allow ourselves to do it. So it's a matter of you allowing yourself to invest and knowing what to invest in so that your investments eventually pay off. So today I want to talk to SIGRUN, a very special guest on the show, about investing forward to scale your business faster. I want to ask her about the investments she has made and which ones have paid off and which ones maybe didn't pay off, how she chooses her investments wisely, what we should be investing in at different levels of business, and a lot of the mindset around investing and just growing your business in a really smart way. So I'm excited for SIGRUN. Let's dig in and let's welcome her to the show. As always, before we get started, make sure you hit the bell and you subscribe to our channel so you never miss a thing. Welcome to Powerhouse Business on YouTube. I'm your host, Carolin Soldo. I'm a business owner, business scaling master, and mom of 2 boys. I love thinking big, pushing boundaries, and doing things differently. Most of all, I'm all about achieving massive growth with ease and helping you scale your business by living the life you love. Let's go. SIGRUN is on a mission to accelerate gender equality through female entrepreneurship. She is the leading business mentor for female online entrepreneurs in Europe, a TEDx speaker, and host of the SIGRUN'S Show podcast. She's originally from Reykjavik, Iceland, but has spent most of her life outside of her home country in Germany, the UK, and Switzerland. She also has vast experience in the corporate world. She holds several master's degrees. In 2014, she launched her online business and built it quickly to multiple 7 figures. And today, she helps women from all around the world start, build, and scale their own online businesses. Welcome, SIGRUN. So welcome, SIGRUN, to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Awesome. So the first thing I wanted to ask you is where you're located right now, because I know you like to be all over the world a little bit. So where are you like this very moment?
I am in my home office in Reykjavik, Iceland.
Yeah. So when I read your bio, I know you spent time in the UK, you've been in Switzerland, right? Germany, really all around. Are you still traveling a lot these days?
Well, no, obviously not. But I live in both Switzerland and Iceland. My husband is Swiss. I have 2 stepsons, and they go to school in Switzerland. And for the last 12, 13 years, I've been living in both places. But my business has, of course, allowed me to spend almost 6 months a year in my home country, Iceland. I just bought a penthouse last year.
Oh, exciting.
Still decorating it. But that's exactly what I wanted. To live in 2 places and then travel when it's safe.
Exactly, when it's safe, yeah. I think, having a business obviously comes with a lot of challenges and struggles and ups and downs, but really the reward of having the lifestyle that we want, especially as women, that's everything, right? It's the freedom.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're talking about a really interesting topic, and that's the idea of investing forward to scale faster. That's our official title. So it's all about, investing in your business, investing in yourself. So the first thing that came to my mind, and I don't know if this is how you think about it too, is the idea of letting go of this sort of, I call it the employee mindset when it comes to spending money and investing, and moving over to a business owner mindset and how business owners look at investing. So get me started with your definition of investing and how you see that working out for business owners.
Yeah, I know. I even had a business coach that was quite shocked at the way I think and how I operate in my business, because she thought I was just like wasting all my money. And it's interesting that now I am actually making at least as much revenue as she is, and even more. My method has worked well for me. So just when I started my business, I knew right away I did not want to have a business that was not scalable.
Right.
I had been a CEO for 10 years. And one of the first businesses I took over with no business education and no business experience was a small company with 15 employees, website agency. And the only way to grow the revenue of the website agency was to hire more programmers.
Yeah.
And at some point, we ran out of programmers. Iceland is a small country. I was living in Iceland at the time. There was 1% unemployment rate, which meant employees could just state whatever they wanted to have as a salary and you had to pay it, or you had the risk of them going to another company who was willing to pay more. And I said to my boss at the time, I didn't own the company, I was just the CEO. I said, we have to sell because this is we cannot scale further. And I made a decision. I wasn't even thinking of starting my own business back then, but I made a decision. Once I start my own business, I will make sure it's scalable without having to always hire more people. Now, obviously, you have to grow a team as you grow your business, but it shouldn't be dependent on the only way to grow is to hire another person. There should be other ways of growing. So when I started my business, I realized I have to invest forward. I guess I just had this mindset from doing an MBA. I had to learn how to do business. I now had those decade of experience of running other people's businesses. And I noticed there was this difference between businesses that are very cautious and always just like, first earn all the money and then, then you pay and it becomes a stagnant business. And if you're not growing, you are essentially dying. Growth is the fuel of a business. And I started it in a little bit of a weird way, some people think, but now I've been proving right, is that I actually invested into traveling and meeting people.
Okay, connections.
So, so because I wanted to grow an international business, but I was living in a little village in Switzerland.
Yeah.
I was Icelandic. I was not a native English speaker, but I wanted to run a business in English. So I thought, where is my ideal client? And I thought they might be in the US or maybe UK. That was my mindset at the time. It's funny now because about 70% of my clients are from Central Europe and they're non-native English speakers, but they flock to me because I've been able to build an international business. So it's kind of funny. Yeah. I didn't realize that at the time, but I spent a lot of money traveling to the UK and the US, meeting people, going to conferences, being part of seminars and workshops, and then starting to hire, of course, business coaches and join masterminds. So I was overspending, some people could say, but from my point of view, I was investing.
Yes.
And I was investing into relationships. I was investing into things that maybe didn't have a return on investment until a year later, until 2 years later. Now, obviously, when people do a course, like an online course, they expect immediate return on investment.
Sure.
But I was thinking a little bit more long term. It's funny. I didn't start my podcast until 2017. So I was like, 4 years in business almost. But I reached out to 50 or 100 people I wanted to interview, and not a single person said no.
Yeah.
I had been investing into this relationship, and that does cost money. It costs money to travel, to stay in a hotel, to go to seminars. I went to Oprah's Super Soul Sunday. I went to Money Bootcamp with Denise Duffield Thomas back when I had almost no money. I went to Social Media Marketing World 6 years in a row. And for some people, this is a waste of time. But for me, this has definitely paid off.
Super smart. And you also learned a ton, right? Let's not underestimate that. And I mean, for someone like I have one MBA. I think you have like 4 or so. So you know the value of investing in your education, right? And that's not cheap either, because when you have the know-how and you have the relationships, to your point, then you can leverage all of that and have it come together. Yeah, I feel bad for so many people who are trying to bootstrap their businesses so much, and really what they're doing is they're struggling for such a long time, and worst case scenario, they give up on it eventually, and it doesn't have to be that way at all. So you talked a lot about investing in traveling and meeting people and relationships, but I wanted to ask you, can you think of the biggest investment you've ever made in your business? It's something where you thought, oh my God, this is really big and maybe a little scary even. I don't know if you have an example, but I would love to hear it. And then what happened when you did that?
Well, it depends where you are in your business. A $5,000 investment is huge when you don't have the money.
Right.
But then when you make a lot of money, 50,000 actually isn't that much. So it is not really the amount, but more the relationship you have with your investment. So I think the scariest investment I made was my $5,000 investment into my first business coach in my first year of business. I had been trying to do it all on my own for 9 months. It wasn't really working. It was like throwing spaghetti at the wall. And I thought by watching other people, and I'm pretty good at watching other people and learning from what they're doing, but that's not enough. And we can really clear that right away now. You cannot just watch other people and hope you know everything. You have to look behind the scenes and really learn from them. And again, that's a part of building relationship. By investing in a business coach or a mastermind or a course or a program, you're also getting closer to that person, and you will learn more than by just listening to a podcast or watching a YouTube video. Right. But I think this first investment was the scariest one because it was like, I don't have $5,000. Here's my credit card. Will I earn my money back?
Yeah.
It was only a 6 or 8 week launch coaching. It's exactly the topic that I'm so passionate about. I love launching. And something clicked, just transferring the money. A day later, I got an email from someone who said, hey, do you do coaching? And suddenly the floodgates opened. And yes, it did help to work with a business coach, but it was my mindset of finally investing in myself and taking that jump that changed everything.
Yeah. You became a business owner at that point, right?
Yes.
And I bet you work with a lot of coaches and consultants and maybe people in other industries too. But when I see it a lot when people sort of say I'm a realtor or I coach or I do nutrition or I do whatever their craft is, they see themselves as this sort of artist. But really, what they need to look at is being a business owner, right? So you go from coach to actually being a business owner, which is a whole different thing. So that's interesting, right? So the first one, I remember asking my husband for his credit card, his business credit card, to invest in Facebook ads. And I was doing this live webinar, it was many years ago, and I spent about $10,000. And that to me was crazy. But I thought, I'm just going to double down. If this thing doesn't work out, I'm done with the business. I'm just going to, go all in and see if it can work. And it wasn't as bad. And obviously I'm still here. But yeah, so the mindset is the big thing. It's not that, having the money is one thing, but then allowing ourselves to really invest is the other. Talk to me a little bit about further on in business. Most of the clients that I work with and the people in our community are not really startups anymore. They are already running an existing business, mostly in service-based industries. And they often wonder what they should invest in. So, what are some of the smart things to invest to, like, you said, scale and grow the business?
Yeah. Well, before we started to record, I was telling you that I'm recovering from being sick. This is my 4th week. My voice is a little bit raw, as you can hear. I got a virus, not COVID, but still has been very bad on me. And I've been very blessed. I've been able to lie in bed and go. I was even hospitalized for 2 nights. Wow. My business has been running without me completely. Of course, my clients know that I'm sick because I'm very transparent and I wouldn't want to hide the fact that I'm sick, but nothing has stopped. And I think everyone wants to get to this point. I think normally you want to plan a 4-week holiday and see that the business can run without you.
Yeah.
But in my case, I didn't plan on getting sick. But so what do you need to invest in? And I'm actually kind of analyzing this myself. Like, okay, how was I able to get to this place where my business can completely run without me? And it's a coaching business.
Yeah.
So the first thing I took to scale in this direction was growing my programs, my coaching programs, from being like 6 people to then 10 and 12 and 18. And I think I got to 18 on my own. And I realized if I wanted to grow them further, I needed to hire coaches. And that was a big like, oh, can someone else coach like I do?
Yeah.
And, all these ego things because you think you are so indispensable and nobody can do it the way you can do. I think 2018, I asked 2 team members to join me. And in the beginning, I didn't really treat them as proper coaches. I have to be honest. I was like, they're providing technical calls. I had a Facebook ad coach, and I had a woman who's been on my team for years, and she was supposed to do some extra calls when people needed help with landing pages and sales pages and stuff. But I didn't really treat them at the same level. But something has shifted over the years. And now I have 6 coaches in this program. And it became easier and easier. And I present them now to my audience as all them being at the same level. Nobody is more, better. Yeah. When people join the program, I say, well, there are 3 people you can go through when it comes to online business strategy, me, this person, that person. I kind of like put us all on the same level. But it took some, I guess, growth, my own growth to get over myself and not say like, oh, they all have to ask me and I must know all the answers. So I think in order to grow and scale and be able to step away from and be proper business owners, like you said, is once your business can run without you for 4 weeks, then you have made it. But the first step is the coaches. The second step is to, or it doesn't matter in which order you do it really, is to get someone who can actually run the day-to-day business without you. Some people call this a project manager, integrator, COO, or you might even actually call this person a CEO and you become president. But in any case, it's a person that is executing your vision. It doesn't mean that you stop thinking about what's best for your company, but they take orders from you and then they can think things through and execute without asking you every little single detail. Yeah. And I think these are the 2 big topics for me, is having all the coaches and making sure even my highest level mastermind, I had a call with them exactly when I was like so sick. I couldn't like speak. I had lost my voice. This was a couple of weeks ago. I had a woman on my team who's worked for me for 6 years. Step in.
Help. Yeah.
She watched the last coaching call and she was able to step in. I only watched like 5 minutes of the call because we stream everything into a Facebook group. I watched 5 minutes of the call. I said, yeah, she watched the last coaching call. She knows where everything is at. So good. Who's on the hot seat now? And I'm like, yes.
She's got it. Great. So what I'm hearing is people, right?
Yeah.
So the systems, and this is so interesting. I find that most people don't want to talk about hiring. When you try out different marketing, for example, or workshop topics, and I'm sure you do that too, like what's hot, what do people want to know about? Not very many will say, I want to know how to hire a team. It's all about the marketing and the sales and the shiny objects. But you're talking to us about having people you can rely on to replace yourself and having the mindset to let go, right? And it's scary. Delegation. I see it too. But eventually you'll get to the point where you just can't, you can't do it all, right? You burn out. I did the same thing. I have several coaches in different programs and people helping me behind the scenes. And without it, it's not doable and it's not the life that you want. So no. Do you see a lot of people? Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I would say the biggest obstacle is you in this. And I remember I was on a hot seat in a mastermind I was a part of, and I was telling them about a conference I was planning, and I was planning this and this and that. I had like a whole list, And they asked me, like, how big is your team? And we were 3 people at the time. My husband and this woman that I just told you about before has been a part of my team since 6 years.
Yeah.
And they were like, Sigrun, you need to hire people. If you're going to do all of these things, you need to hire people. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, who do I hire first? And they were talking about, hiring an executive assistant and integrator and all that stuff. And they noticed I was so scared. And then there's a woman who was a bit older in the masterminds, rarely speaks up. And she said, Sigrun, you need to stop proving to yourself.
Yes. See?
That you can do this all on your own. You have proven it. You've already built a 7-figure business almost alone. Now it's enough. Like now you don't, it's almost like I had to, and it hit me. It was like a knife into the heart. I was like, yeah, this is it. I constantly, and probably still today, I'm constantly have the feeling I'm proving something. Yeah. And I think it's a part of being a woman I noticed when I talk to my business to a group of guys, my revenue numbers, one of the first things I talk about, I make this much money. Right. And I'm like,
the structure is,
because it's this feeling of like, oh, you have this online business, it must be a hobby. And, especially if someone says, oh, lifestyle, like we said before, right. I want to be able to live in 2 countries and enjoy my life. And they think this is some joke. And I'm like, no, this is a proper business. And I have 15 people on my team. But I really had to get over this fact of I don't have to do it on my own. It's okay to ask for help. Yeah. It's also okay to make some hiring mistakes. True. But you get better and better. And, you have all these tests now that you have people, go through before you hire them. And when you have more people, you can have them interview. But yeah, I think the only way, when we're talking about multiple 7 figures, and if someone is, on the way to 8 figures, it's people. Yeah. Systems. Yes, of course we need systems. But honestly, systems can be so good. But if you don't have the people to, operate the systems and make them work, the systems are just, I would not get too hooked up on systems. I would say his systems, yes, but it's more important to find good people.
Right. And you said something, we could go, this is a whole new topic we could unravel. It's proving yourself. I've done a lot of work on myself too, and changing my business and reinventing it and, scaling it up and then scaling it way down and really making it work, on my terms and what I wanted and getting off that sort of, having to prove myself chase, because I've seen over the years so many, especially women, who will come back to me saying, on the outside, I look really successful, but on the inside, I feel really burnt out. And I have to constantly keep it up and the constant pressure. And I always need to do more. And I don't really know why. There's always this drive to do more and more and more. And for me, it was totally proving myself to my mom. And there's a whole backstory with like family and all of that, right? But you got to get over it. And also just to avoid the burnout, but to do things because they're fun, not because you need to prove anything, but because you have this gift and this message for people in the world and just making that happiness priority. Yeah, it's so good. So good.
Yeah. I'm even seeing this sickness as a gift. It's kind of hard to see it because I haven't healed properly, but I've been thinking a lot for the last 3.5 weeks, and it's a gift to see that my business can run without me. Yeah. It is giving me almost some extra time because I'm like, well, when I come back, don't need to go back 100% because now I can finally do some of the things that I've, put on the back burner, like writing a book and things like that. But and you have to step away. Like you see people stepping up when they have to. Yeah. I've had team members that constantly ask me, what should the bonuses be for this launch? And I'm like, can't you decide that?
Figure it out.
Yeah. But it's been hard when you're there and you are in front of the person and are like, why shouldn't I tell them? But when I'm losing my voice and can only communicate over Slack to my team, they have to. So I'm not suggesting that people get sick on purpose, but you need to find a way where the team cannot ask you all the questions.
Right. And so it allows them to become more confident and comfortable trusting themselves more, and you trust them more, and you trust the business that it can actually give you that space. So I know exactly what you're talking about. It's beautiful. Yeah, it's awesome. So in the interest of time, I want to ask you two more things. I want to know about what you have coming up and where people can find you. But is there anything in terms of investing that you think is important that we haven't talked about yet? You talked about the people and the systems and the mindset. Anything else that you think is key?
Well, obviously, we did mention tools, and I don't want to focus too much on tools, but I have definitely upgraded my tools over time, and I think people have to be not afraid of switching. I have tools today where I wished I had decided on this 3 years ago, but hey, I didn't.
Right.
So there is a switching cost, but you gotta check. I would say there's an annual checkup you should do with the tools you're using in your business.
Smart.
And check what other people are using that have a similar business to yours and how is their experience, and then do the switch. We have been switching, and not just because the tools are better, but somehow 2020 made me think about ethical things, companies that I don't want to be associated with, and switching away from them to companies that I actually feel are better aligned with my values.
Yeah.
And that's an investment. Training employees, I think that was something that I didn't pay enough attention to in the beginning. And that's something you need to think about. Like when you have a lot of contractors in the beginning, you're not so much thinking about training them, like they should train themselves. But when you have a real team, people who are employed by you, now half of my team are contractors, but that's because they live in different countries, and I'm not going to set up a subsidiary in every single country.
Right.
But thinking about your team as a proper team and then investing into them. So I have asked everyone on my team what they would like to learn.
Great.
Then of course I look what they're supposed to be doing, what are their KPIs, and then if that is a match, finding then a course or program for them. And then ultimately you might need a team coach. That's something that we haven't done yet. I had a team coach for myself when I was doing some organizational changes, but I think the next terms of investment is not just we have to stop to think just about us. Like we were so much in like,
right.
I need a coach, I need a mastermind.
Right.
What about your team?
Yes.
I think that's the next level investment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's beautiful. And asking them what they want to learn too, right? If they're dedicating, even especially if they're full time and they're dedicating everything to you, right, to us, then they're the people who make everything work and they deserve it. So yes, powerful. Wow.
Yeah.
Sigrun, where can people find you? Tell us about, I don't know, events are not really that, happening right now, unfortunately, but how can we connect with you, and what else might be happening in your world?
So find me. I have a podcast, SIGRUN'S Show.
Yep.
I have also a YouTube channel, SIGRUN, and SIGRUN.com, all the information. But I do have a conference next year, Self-Made Summit in Reykjavik, Iceland. I'm hoping to have women come in from all over the world. I know we have sold tickets to Malaysia, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, United States, and all over Europe. Women are coming from all over. Speakers are all 7-figure plus speakers. Not a single person can speak on my stage unless C is making 7 figures. We have one exception, a 19-year-old woman who has built a business, a nonprofit in the US, and has worked with Michelle Obama and has been in Oprah magazine. So she's an exception there, not a 7-figure business yet. But yeah, Self-Made Summit was supposed to happen in 2020. Obviously didn't. 2021, we're not going to risk it because it's too risky. Yeah. But 2022, this is a dream come true for me. It's a form of investment too. I feel like I want to give back. I want to reach more people who are maybe not online, in the online bubble that we are in. And my mission is to accelerate gender equality. And this becomes my new direction. People maybe know me as an online business coach, but ultimately I want to advance gender equality.
I love it. In Iceland, who doesn't want to go to Iceland? I mean, come on. Yes. And next year, count me in. If the traveling is safe and everything, and it should be, we have vaccines rolling out and everything. So Yes, that's awesome. And you're right, being with people like in real life, there's nothing like it. That's how we started today, with relationships, right? Being with people and building connections. So that's awesome. Do you know when it is yet? Dates, or are you probably just still planning?
22nd, 21st or 22nd of June next year.
Oh, perfect. Summer, even better. Sweet. So yeah, audience, you're watching us here. Thank you for checking in again. Definitely go take a look at SIGRUN'S event, the conference, her website, podcast, YouTube show, all the good things, especially if you are in Europe, but really all around the world, right? We're this big global family now of people. And what I love about you, Sigrun, is your values, your authenticity, who you are, and the wealth of knowledge and the years of experience clearly that, you know, we've seen today and that you have. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And now we would love to hear from you. As always, give us a like, and most importantly, leave us a comment below. Let's talk about investing in your business. How do you make your investment decisions? What have you learned in this episode? What questions do you have? Leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to help you invest forward to scale your business faster too. And now I have something really, really special for you. If you have not yet taken our business growth assessment, now is your time. This is a complete comprehensive assessment of your business and the 6 key growth areas, as well as your happiness score, because I believe that your business